We are going to get organized for this search. I'm going to show you the 3 things that I want you to get set up so that you have an infrastructure as you move through this process, and you're going to be organized through the entire thing. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to create a folder wherever you store your documents. For me, I do that on my Google Drive. So I have a folder that I've named Job Search. And inside that folder, I am going to create a new folder for every submission that I do. So I'm just going to do this one demonstration, and it's for the University of Washington is the one that I want to use as an example. So inside this folder, I am going to have a job description. So I'm going to pull this over so you can see the position that I'm seeking. And you'll see that I've found this here. I actually went to Indeed.com and I found this position. I just searched for career coach and this came up, which is great. And it took me to this site. So what's going to happen as you move through this process is every time you do a submission, and we will talk about how to modify every resume and cover letter. That's coming later. Right now, I just want to show you how to get your infrastructure set up. So what's happening is when you do a submission, you're going to hit the send button and either via email or in an applicant tracking system and just not think about it. And then later, you're going to get a call for a screening interview. And you're going to think, oh, what was that job? And then when you go to look online, there's a very good chance that it will have disappeared. So that's why I want you to have this infrastructure set up now. So when you do a submission, reflexively, what you will do is you will come in to the job description, you will copy the entire document, and you can do this however it works for you. If you prefer to do it with screenshots, that's great. I like to just save it into a Word document. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm going all the way through and pulling it down to I want to get every single thing on here. So I'm just copying and then I'm opening up a Word document, a new blank document. And I am going to, I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm just going to paste it right inside. Now, what's going to happen here is I'm going to want to save this. And this is where I'm asking you now to be thinking about the conventions that you want to use as you do every single submission. So I'm going to go over here to my job search folder, and inside I have this University of Washington, and I'm going to call this UW Career Coach. And I use JD, job description. That's just a shortcut that I use for everything that I copy for a job description. So use whatever works for you. So I'm going to just save this and think about it too. You might want to put JD first, however it works. This document, you will be the only one referencing later. So this one is not as important. So I'm just going to save that. That's great. I have it saved now. So now it's available for handy reference for me when I get that screening call, and I can go back and think, oh, that's right, this was with the engineering, and here's the stuff that they want me to do. And so I'll be able to study and prep for the screen. Now, what I want to show you is as I am submitting, I'm going to have a cover letter that I have modified specifically for this role. And again, I'm going to show you that in another module. But right now, what I want you to do is I want you to go in and save whatever you're going to submit into, remember we're going to our job search folder. So going right over here and pulling up job search. I have my folder for this submission, and now this is where the naming convention is going to be important, because whatever you name this document is what is going to show up on the receiver's end, either through an applicant tracking system or through an email attachment. And so I put my name first, then I put the organization, and I use CL for cover letter so that I know whether it's my resume or cover letter. So this is the naming convention that I'm asking you to develop now so you can use it over and over for every submission that you do. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I also have my resume, which is a separate document. Some of them you will be asked to submit it as one single document. So that's fine. You just adapt to whatever they're doing. But what I'm doing here now, because I am modifying for every submission, so I want to make sure that I remember which version of my resume did I send these people. So I'm going to go back here again over to my drive where I've saved and have this job search folder, and I have the UW folder specifically for this submission. And you could put resume here if that's something that you want to do. I just know if it doesn't have a designation after it, that like CL or JD, then I know this is the resume that I submitted. So I'm just going to save this. And now what I have here is this folder that has everything in it that I submitted for this particular role. And that is going to be handy and available for me when I get notified of the next steps in the process. So I want you to set up this folder now and begin to think about and have your sample in here. You can even just call it sample so that you remember, okay, this is the protocol that I use for every single submission. So now that's the first thing that I want you to do. The next thing is you are going to find 2 spreadsheets attached as resources for you to download separately after you listen to this recording. One is called a job search log. And so I'm going to pull that over so you can see this document. And what I want you to do is save this and put it inside your job search folder. So I'm putting it right over in that same folder that I just set up because I want to have it handy there. I'm going to be checking this every day as I'm working through this process. So go over here, find your folder, and save it inside here. And you will be marking and entering every submission that you do. You'll also see down here at the bottom your networking contacts and all of this information that you can fill in, interviews, and also the websites that you're using, either where you have submitted your resume and have it posted online, or if you have an automated search set up, or it's one that you check regularly. So these are things that you're going to populate as you move through this process. So make sure this document is saved into your job search folder and it's all ready for you. Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to find this job search tracking, the goal tracking. And I'm going to go through this with you so that you can see exactly what you're going to be filling out every weekday of your job search. So you can see in here, you can modify this to have it be the current date. So you can just set today's date in there. Use a Monday, whatever the Monday of this week is, and then it'll auto fill as you move across. And then what you're going to do every day is come into this document, and you're going to use what I call the weather report. This is based on a structure that was developed by Get Hired Now. So you'll see here the credit is down here if you want to look them up. And the weather report is really important because you want to be aware, and we'll talk more about your mind management as we move through this process. But you want to be aware of what's the weather up there in your head, and are you excited? Are you eager? Are you worried? Are you anxious? Are you depressed? And so the way this is set up is for you to simply put in a number here from 1 to 10. 1 being I can barely get out of bed in the morning, and I'm really concerned for my mental well-being. 10 being I am on this, and I have this surge of energy, and I am really moving through this process with leaps and bounds. So put down your number here, and what you're going to notice here is a pattern. And sometimes you'll be notified that you didn't get selected for a particular position, and you'll have a dip. But we're also really looking to track trends and see if you're starting to decline or elevate, or if you're stable. It's just helpful to take the pulse of where you are mentally. And then physically, how are you doing? Are you feeling energized? Are you feeling like you didn't get enough sleep? Are you just off of a workout and you have this surge of energy? So again, 1 to 10, and notice. And what you'll do too is as you go back, and if we're working individually, we'll reference this too. And you can know, oh yeah, that was when everyone in our house had the stomach flu. That was a bad couple of days. Or you'll be able to reflect and see where there are trends. So what we're doing right now is setting you up for success over the term of your job search. And part of this is taking the pulse of your mental and physical health. Okay, so the next section here is called success ingredients. And these, I want you to think about, what are the things, kind of the big project things that need to happen in order for you to be successful in your job search. And so here's some possibilities that I've used with other clients, and I'll be talking about each of these as we go through. And you'll get, the list of questions to ask in exploratory conversations. Where do you put your target organization list? So you don't have to worry about what each of these mean right now. I do want you either to customize this for yourself or use the default right now and begin to set this process up, because I want you to be using this every day, starting today. So set usually 3 to 5 goals, big picture goals, go in this section. And you can eliminate a row if you want to get rid of one. So I can delete this whole row if I decide that I don't like this particular one and I only want to have 4. I can save over top of this and just put in something that I would like instead of this particular goal. And then what you do every day is you put in the percent completion. So if it's at 0 right now, that's great. You could put in 100% here after you set all of this up today. Now, what you're also looking for are daily actions. What are you going to make sure that you do every day in your job search. And this is really so that you stay focused and targeted. And again, you have here suggestions for what other people have done that I've worked with. LI stands for LinkedIn. So you'll also see some of these you won't be doing every single day. Like here's one that's 3 days a week. So it's okay if you know I'm going to be doing that on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you can list a why here just as a filler, for the yes. That's up to you to how you want to do this. Some people are purists and they feel like, well, I didn't do it, so I'm going to put an N for no. You pick. So set these up. I want you to go through this now, review them, and think about whether this is something that you think is going to be productive and useful for you, or if you have other things in mind. Now, the program goal here is for you to have an overarching stretch goal that you think, hey, if I do this, I'm going to land. I'm going to have a job. So figure out what that is for you. This is an example of what another client has used. And what you're going to be doing is assessing every time you go through here and fill out your spreadsheet is how far along are you? And then this special permission is a motivational thing for you. It's kind of like a motto or a mantra. Why are you doing this? What's the big picture for you? When you land in your job, what is going to be different in your life than what is happening for you now? So what is kind of the carrot that you're holding out in front of yourself to remind you of why does this matter? So customize this. This is an important thing that it reflect specifically what gives you meaning and motivation. And we can talk about this too if we're working individually and make sure that you have something here that really suits you and fits you. So that's what I want you to make sure that you do is take care of your action steps here and set up your folder on your wherever you store your hard drive, your Google Drive, and consider as you're making these naming rules what works for you as far as finding these documents, but also think about what the title will be for whoever is receiving the document. Make sure too that you fill in both of the spreadsheets, and remember that your goal sheet is something that you can shift and change. So get moving on it right now. Don't get paralyzed in getting just exactly the right thing on there, because you can change it later. And then set recurring reminders in your calendar. Block off the times for when you are working on your job search.